Welcome, everyone, back to the podcast.
Welcome.
We're so excited to be back. We're so excited about this episode. It's going to be really good. We have someone really special here.
It's going to be
with us.
such a special episode.
Yeah, and I feel good to be back because I haven't been back since after having my daughter. So I'm really excited.
And when you were here the last time, we were talking about pregnancy and motherhood. And so now we have to.
Yeah, my daughter's going to be 6 months. That's
recap
wild.
on that.
So,
yeah.
Really excited to be back. So take it away, Alex.
Yeah, as before we get into it, we just want to thank our sponsors, Sweetwater. Everything we have here is from them. And if you click the link in our bio or wherever you're watching and you buy directly from that link, some of the money comes to us.
Yes.
So if you want the podcast to continue and you just want to bless free worship and for, this podcast, and if you enjoy and love what you are listening to, go ahead and buy that cord, that wire, that microphone, that piano. Use that link. That would help us out a lot. If you do not know, my name is Alex.
I'm Nani.
And I am Anthony. And our special guest today, very special guest today, longtime friend, like seriously longtime friend. That's not just like saying that. That's longtime friend.
I mean it.
He's the hookup. He has thought about us for years. He has put us in places we had no business being, but he continued to invite us.
Calvin
Nowell.
Calvin Nowell.
Oh, y'all, don't do that.
Yes.
Anytime he says, we need you here, we go.
Seriously, that is 100% for real.
We just like blindly go.
We have no idea where we're going.
Learning songs
y'all
on the way.
Just show up.
We're driving to Nashville,
in the car, drive 8 hours.
learning 17 songs.
Yeah.
And the parts in the back. And we're like, all right.
That's awesome.
Let's be locked in.
You very much are, I mean, he said the hookup, but you very much are a bridge to people.
Oh,
you very
thank
much are
you.
that.
I try to be. I like connecting people.
Yeah.
And I love y'all. Regardless. It's my regardless family.
Regardless.
You're
Dominican,
really
if anybody didn't know.
Yeah, that's only Spanish. It's not even a Spanish word.
It's not.
It's just, but I say it like I'm Spanish.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Regardless. That's good.
I remember when we met, we were probably in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you first came.
You were.
And sang with us. We were back at Clementi. And you sang
Worship Fest.
Unrestrained.
You sang Unrestrained.
I remember when I first came here, I was like, because Rick was the MD, and he was like, yeah, we'll back you up. And I'm like, I was like, I don't know. Nashville kind of has, and I have my singers and team and all that.
That's always funny.
He said, no, we got it. And I was like, okay. and I already had like preconceived notion, like, they're not going to be able to handle it. Then when I got there, I was like, y'all cold. I'll never bring a singer here ever. That's how it's been. I never had a singer here. Because y'all can sing.
Yeah, we had you back a couple times.
Yeah.
It's just always felt very familiar, very like you understand us, we understand you. Like, oh my gosh, this is
I've been
definitely
waiting
family.
to get here.
Yeah.
I've been seeing all y'all little podcast episodes. I'm like a little jealous. Like, I want to be on the show. And I'm here. So thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
You did it, God. You did it.
He did it.
If
I'm
you can
here.
do it for me, he can do it for you.
Oh my
Regardless.
gosh. Yeah. So you have a little pocket of time this weekend.
Yes.
You'll be ministering with us tomorrow.
Yes.
But I'm super glad, to have you on here.
Thank
and
you.
to just pick your brain about worship. There's a lot of people, worship teams that tune in, and I know they would love to hear like your perspective.
Yeah.
And, before we get too deep,
Okay.
we always ask top 5.
Ooh.
Worship, praise, anything, songs that have like moved you, marked you.
Man, that is like the toughest question of the year.
Right? That's how
I
felt
know.
when I was at
I would say maybe going back. Of course, Fred Hammond, No Weapon. That was one. Yes. Fred Hammond, No Weapon. That was one growing up.
That's a staple.
That's a staple.
Can you sing that one?
Oh, Jesus, help me. What key? Okay. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Yeah. It won't work. no weapon formed against me shall prosper. It won't work. All right. Yeah, I'm not gonna go in. Y'all got me crying. We got to go into worship. Wait a minute.
Come on, Calvin, you sound so good on that song.
He was like, okay.
I was like, let's go on to the next one. Before I'll be like, oh, no. Probably start crying on this.
No, but your tone on it sounds so good.
Tone is so rich.
Oh, man.
Let's see.
We were going to join in with you, but it just sounded good on its
good.
own.
Yeah, it was too good. It was good.
Draw Me Close. I like that one. Draw Me Close to You. I heard that first Michael W. Smith. I think it was in C or something. Do it. Draw me close to you. I'm playing drums in my head. Never let me go.
Sounds so
I lay it all down again. To hear you say that I'm your friend. Chorus, I just got to. You're all I want. You're all I ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are near. Yeah, let's. Love that song.
That's a
Such a good song.
That's a good one.
Is one of your top 5 one of your songs?
No.
Really?
They're like my bottom 5.
What?
You see how he be doing himself? It really just
legit.
That's why we
makes
got to
me
talk
upset.
about it.
Yeah, legit. Because I love Unrestrained, but my favorite song of yours is Lord, I receive.
Oh, Receive, yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite song that I wrote.
Yes. That's it.
But
That's the song.
that is
yeah.
my jam.
Oh, thanks.
No, like legit. I'm just like,
You know what that
If you
song?
guys don't know what we're talking about, it's because it's not on Spotify. So if you can put comments,
I need
Calvin,
an assistant. I
And be
forgot
like-
to pay the bill and they took it down. That's the true story. And I never put it back up. I forgot. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot.
oh well.
They were like, Mr. Nowell, your Start Somewhere album has been removed from iTunes and everything. I was like, for $49. I forgot to pay $49, got it removed.
if you guys can comment and put pressure on Calvin, because sometimes you just want to hear those songs.
Yeah.
I know.
they're so
I am sorry.
good.
I will work on that in the new year. In the new year.
2024.
Yes,
really.
we'll get into that later about your stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
But no, I
Yeah.
love that song. So okay.
So
Your
that
bottom
was
5.
that. And then more recent is Where You Are by Leland. I love that one. And I've been loving Gratitude by Brandon Lake lately.
That is a good song.
I let it a few months
Yes.
ago.
That is a good song.
I just couldn't get through it without crying. And I don't know why. I was
Sing it.
leading it like,
That's a good
it's
one.
pure. The
It
lyrics
is.
are
yeah,
very pure.
it goes, so I throw up my hands, praise you again and again. 'Cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, but I've nothing else fit for a king.
Yeah, that's good.
Except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. Don't do it, y'all. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I love that.
So yeah, I love that song. And it just made me cry when I first did it.
Yeah.
I like intimate songs.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. That's just
Tender.
tender.
Tender songs.
I like tender
Yeah.
songs.
Mhm.
Those are,
Love that.
that's my thing. So
Yeah, and you're gonna be singing with Brandon, maybe.
maybe, yeah.
Oh.
So
I'm speaking
I'm
it.
speaking it in existence. So I
Yeah.
saw him a few months ago, in Maverick City in Nashville,
Okay.
Okay.
and I went backstage and was with some friends, and I ran up to him. I didn't run up to him, but I met him. He was like, "Man, I follow you on social media." I was like, "No, you don't." He was like, "Yes, I do." I was like, "I follow you." I was like, "Man, I love your songs." And I was like, "How come you not singing Gratitude, in the Maverick City set?" And he was just like, just they didn't pick it or whatever. And so a few weeks later, he wound up singing it. And I messaged him on Instagram. I was like, now you singing the song I love. I was like, I really wanted to see you. I said, I guess I'm gonna have to come to one of your tour dates to see it. And he was like, oh my gosh, if you come, I would die if you would sing with me. Would you please sing with me? And I'm like, would I?
You're like, what do I fly to?
You
I
ain't
was
said no
like,
word.
yes.
Right. Yeah.
Immediately I went on this website. I was like, I'm going to, which one I'm going to?
How close are you to me? Because I'm going.
So yeah, so I'm supposed to go, and I guess I'm gonna join them on a song. I don't know what song it is, but I want to do Gratitude. But then
Oh my gosh,
Don't play though.
yes.
You
but
start
that's
crying.
that's like his signature song. So I don't know. We'll see.
No, that
I'm gonna
would
get
be.
on something though. Worship
You'll
song.
be like, Calvin, we need the mic back. It's your time. You'll be like, hold on.
Like, no, I
Yeah.
can't. I can't hold it.
Oh, that's
So yeah,
beautiful.
that's gonna be
Awesome.
fun.
That's
Wait, so
super
was that
fun.
4 songs or was that
four.
5?
That was 4.
We need one
Oh,
more.
one more. Heart of Worship. I like that.
Yes.
I'm coming back to the Heart of Worship. I
Mm.
like that one a lot. Those were the songs when I started singing. I really liked a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Can you explain like when you started singing? Because for a lot of singers, it's usually when they're super young and they're growing up in the church. But I know your story is different. And I think that would be great for people to hear who might have similar experiences.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know this about me. I didn't grow up singing at all. I didn't start singing until I was 18 in college, my freshman year. And so I didn't like sing in choir growing up. I wasn't in church choir, wasn't in high school choir. Like people from high school don't know me as a singer at all because I didn't sing. Like they gave best singers to, other people.
Yeah.
And when I went to college, I joined the gospel choir to learn, just to meet people. I liked music, but I didn't sing it. So I joined the choir to meet people. And I remember that year, my freshman year, they were like, man, you have a great personality. You should run for this Mr. African American Arts Festival. It was like a Mr. and a Miss. It was like a personality competition or something like that. They were like, you have a good personality, you should run. I said, oh, okay, cool. I dealt with rejection, so upperclassmen were gassing me. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And then they said, but you got to do a talent. And I was like, what? And I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I was going to read a poem, a dramatic poem. And my best friend was like, Calvin, don't do that. He's like, don't do that. I was like, I know, but I don't know what else to do because I'm not like a singer like that. He's like, well, you joined the choir this year. Why don't you try and sing a song?
Yeah.
Learn a song. And I'm like, what? I've never sang in front of people. What am I going to sing? And then we were just talking about it. He's like, try to sing Fred Hammond's Running Back to You. And so I sang Fred Hammond's Running Back to You. And at the talent competition, my parents were like,
who's this?
we the worst parents ever. They didn't know I could sing. And I won the talent competition. And so that's what started it.
Wow.
And everybody was like, who knew that Calvin could sing?
You didn't even.
I didn't even know.
say.
I mean, I kind of sang by myself, but I never had nobody to tell me, like,
Yeah.
you can sing.
Right.
I would always keep it private.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I always thought that I was going to be friends of entertainers, but not like a performer,
Yeah.
And then it just opened up, and then I was like, oh, I guess I'm singing. So then that one thing led to another. Then I started singing more in the choir, and then local church in Cincinnati, where I'm from. And then one thing led to another. Then found my way to Nashville. Started singing with Michael W. Smith the first year I was there, and then that just kind of over 20 something years ago, 20 years ago, and that was it. And one thing led to another, and there's a lot more in between. But yeah,
Yeah.
but that's really how.
So
it
we
was.
have to thank your friend that said, Calvin, don't do that.
Right.
Yeah,
About the
and
poem.
you know what's
Legit.
crazy? And
He would've
then
been a poet.
I gotta tell this story because.
He's like, Romeo, oh, Romeo.
Yeah. Wherefore art thou Romeo?
His friends
And so
like,
what he said was the reason why, like,
you're
no.
like, no,
His
bro.
friends
They was like,
No,
no.
that ain't
Mm-mm.
it.
And so, but yeah, so I started singing that year. I was a freshman in college. And I started working at this telemarketing firm called Colorado Prime, where they sell frozen meats. So I had to call people like, would you like to get frozen meats and delivered to your house? It was horrible. But I remember being there the first week, and the manager, Sonny, was like, let's take a break from the phones, everybody. And then he was like, this girl named Dion. And she was like, Dion, would you sing us into break? And I'm like, rolling my eyes, like, oh my gosh, here we go. Here we go. And I'm just sitting there like, I hate this job already. And y'all, this girl, Dion, blazed. She killed.
Oh my God.
Y'all, she sang like I have never seen. She was kind of like a Nita Baker with Tony Braxton with all this I mean, I was just so floored by how she meant it. It's not even so how she sang. She had this thing when she sang that just, it felt personal that most people didn't have. And I remember back then I was taping her on my tape recorder. I was like, Dion, can you just sing something? And she needed a ride home. And I was like, can I just tape you something? Like she was sitting in her bathroom. And I mean, I got the tape recorder just because the acoustics of the bathroom. And she's sitting on the closed toilet, you know, but she was sitting on the toilet and just sing. And I got a tape recorder, and she would kill it, y'all. I mean, I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
She kills.
Wow.
And so I said, Dion, how do you do that? I remember the exact verbatim. I can tell you where I was standing. How do you do that? She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know. There's something when you sing, it's different. What is that? And she's like, I guess I just concentrate. And I just took that and ran. And so I just started to, when I sing, I interpret that as like just mean what you sing.
Yeah.
And so then that's how I started to just sing real vertical and just started to mean it. And I remember when I moved to Nashville like 4 years later after I got out of college, I did a session, my first session, background session, and they were doing passes where they were like, hey, y'all go in there and do an ad-lib track. And so everybody, these are session singers, they do the ad-lib track. I go in and do my ad-lib track. And I got done, and these top session singers was like, bro, we were talking about you. It sounds like when you sing, you mean it. And I was like, I do. Like, don't y'all?
Right. Yeah.
And I guess maybe most people haven't really been taught that way, but my identity has never really been in music because I didn't grow up singing it. So it's very easy for me to not do music or lay it down or not have my music on Spotify or everything.
Yeah.
Because I hold it very loosely.
Yeah.
And even while we're here today, I just feel like a lot of people have their identity in their music and they hold on to it.
Right.
And then they become very territorial.
Yeah.
And then that's where all this insecurity kind of comes up.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of more of a victim of other people's insecurities, you know, when I start to sing, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that helps, but that's my little backstory.
No, that does help a lot because it gives shape to like who you are as a person. And growing up in church, a lot of times people have the same story. Always singing, always, you know. Do you feel like kind of who you are, how you started has to do with why you're such a bridge with people right now and why you feel like, I mean, you're all about, and I love this about you, but you're very intentional about collaboration.
Yeah.
You're very intentional about bringing everybody to the table.
Yeah.
You're very intentional about who doesn't feel like they should be here because I'm going to let them know they need to be here.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if you feel like
how
that
all
has
that
to do with
started.
Yeah.
So basically, when I first started singing, I had moved to Pittsburgh for like 1 year before I moved to Nashville. And it was a really, really tough season. I didn't like living there. But one of the things that happened was I remember reading, and I'm a new worship leader pretty much at this particular time. I started reading the Bible about Solomon, and he asked for wisdom from the Lord to govern people.
Mm.
And at that time, I was like, why does he want wisdom to govern people when, like, your dad was David, you're a songwriter, song of song, like, you guys are songwriters,
Yeah.
Mm.
but you don't care about the songs, you care about the people.
Mm.
So from an early starting off, I just was like, it's about people. And I always tell worship leaders, like, if you really want to be sensitive to the presence of the Lord, you have a heart for people. And I
Yeah.
think having a heart for people, because you know how to minister to what they need or what they want or where they're at. I do a lot of consumer behavior and marketing with my company,
Yeah.
but I study people a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of very aware of what's going on with people, where you can encourage them. And then just being a bridge. I remember when I first did my solo record, I didn't really like being a solo artist. I just I never had a piece about it. Like, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
People was like, when you gonna do a second record? I was like, I just feel like I want to do it with somebody else. Like, I want
Yeah.
somebody else to help me, but that wasn't the norm.
Yeah.
And so I've always had this collective type of personality,
Yeah.
but I had no benchmarks, to compare myself to say, I want to do it like that.
Yeah.
But now that we have like Maverick City, I'm like, that's exactly
That's
what I'm
it,
talking.
yeah.
That's all I've been asking for 20 years.
Yeah,
Can we all come together? And
Yeah.
so that would happen. And then I would just started leading worship at different places, like your church and different places. And I would just say, man, I love all these people out of town and they're great. And I remember years ago, Michael W. Smith was like, hey, I want to do a project. And I want to have diversity. And he's like, I don't know if I love the Nashville session scene. I said, you know what? I know people from everywhere I went that they would be humble,
Let me
they
call
would
them
be
real quick.
talented. Let me just call them and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's when I would start to call y'all and be like, y'all just need to get here.
Right. Right.
I don't know why I'm telling y'all this, but this is an opportunity to sing with Michael W. Smith. And then you guys came, and then it's like this new group of people from around the world are coming together. And then it happened the same thing with the CC Winans project.
Yeah.
And it was like, I love bridging the gap. You know what I mean? So that's really like who I am. So
Yeah. It's your gifting. I mean, I'm not saying it because you're my friend, but you really do have a gift for being like observant and sensitive to like, okay, there's a shift here, or how do I get this? Even when we were songwriting for Forever You Are Good.
I was just gonna bring that up.
And
like,
what was the other song too?
For Your Glory.
For Your Glory.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring that particular trip up because I remember when we were there. So, like Alex said, Calvin had been apart with us for a long time, but I never had like an interaction with you in close proximity. It was just kind of like, oh, we sang behind him, or like he's there in the stage, and that was it. And I never had conversation. And so in this particular writing retreat, I think I just had started working for the church. So I was like, I'm gonna do the sandwiches and the this and the that. I was
you were gonna sit in the background.
I was gonna sit in the background. I remember I was cleaning the counter, and I'm like getting everything ready. And you guys all go to sit, and you turn and look at me, and you're like, oh, come on. And I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. Because at the time, right, I just had this, like, I can't write, I can't offer anything, I can't, And so I'm like, oh, no, I'm just going to make sandwiches. And you're like, no, come and sit. And I was like, okay. Yeah. And I sat, and like, that was the first time ever where I felt like my gifting and my calling was needed in a different form, right? Like, because I just felt like, oh, well, I'm okay with like worshiping like on stage, but like I won't do this.
Right.
And so, but then I think for everybody, they felt that way, right? Because even who we had there with us, right? We had Ebeth, there were so many things that were happening in our team, a lot of transition. I think you guys were just expecting Charlie. It was like a lot of things that we were going through, and you
just paid off your student loans.
Yes, yeah, paid off your
That's
student
where
loans.
Forever You're Good came from.
Yeah.
Because we were saying that
That's a
everybody
memory.
has a song. I kept saying, like, it doesn't matter how gifted you are. If you have a story, you have a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And I just remember in that particular session feeling that inclusion as a worship leader. Because like you said, like what you were saying prior, a lot of times as worship leaders, we fall victim to other people's insecurities and feel like, oh, well, then there's not a place for me here.
Right.
It's like, I'm just going to sing and then that's it. And then you do your thing and
Yeah.
that's it. You know, and so like, I just really felt that like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, you know,
Yeah.
like we can do this together. This
Yeah.
can be a collective.
Totally.
And
And
something great.
And you know
come
what
from
was funny
this.
about that?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times when you write with people, you just be like, well, I'm a writer, Chris is a writer. We're going to keep this to 2 to 3, 4 people.
Right.
But I really felt like in that moment, God was like, no, include everybody. And in your mind, your natural mind, you're like, but that's split 10 ways. Like, I
Right.
don't know if I want to do that. But then I
Yeah.
felt like because I did that, I felt like God blessed it
Yeah.
greater
Absolutely.
than, me trying to be selfish and just, and I think we all had a contribution to that part.
Yeah.
And it was just a great song. And I'm like, dude, I love that song.
Yeah.
Every time we sing it now, I still think of that we
Yeah.
base it off of we had just paid off our student loans. I'd be
Yep.
like, oh God, forever good. You're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
good. They're still
Yeah.
paid off.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there was just so much that came from that. Because I think, prior to that, we had written Christ Be Revealed. So this was like the first big. And I remember,
Collaborative,
like Calvin, you asking, so is this for the church or do you want this to go more out? Or what are we looking? Is this commercial or is it the church? And I remember we were kind of still in that like,
We don't
is
know
this
what
for
we're
the
doing.
church?
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing.
But we don't really know what we're
We
doing.
don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And so just kind of even that, us being pushed in that way.
Yeah.
And we were like, we're just gonna write. And then you guys were like, our student loans are paid off. And we're like, forever you are good, good. We were just like, yes, like it just like naturally came to us. And so yeah.
I think
That was-
what is like super important for collaboration and everything to happen is for there to be mutual respect. I think me and Josh were talking about this the other day, with everyone and knowing that if someone shines or if someone does something or if someone, that doesn't mean yours is any less or anything
Right.
like that. And to be secure enough
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
collaborate. It requires a certain amount of maturity
Yes.
and security
Absolutely.
to be like, that's it. Let's go with your line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go with your lyric.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And so a lot of us on the team are like family. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
a big reason why we all still love each other and work together and laugh and are legit family is because we truly, truly respect
Yeah.
the calling on each
That's amazing.
person's life. Like we know, like, oh, that's they should lead that song. They're really
Yeah.
gifted in that, or they're such a good songwriter. Oh my gosh, when
Yeah.
they do praise,
Yeah.
like we know everyone. Like they're more of a creative, or he's more
Yes.
musically gifted. Like let's listen to what he's saying when it comes to this.
Yes.
And we understand that everyone has different avenues,
Yes.
and we're better together. But I know that that's not the
It's not the
case.
case everywhere.
Yeah, it's
everywhere.
not the case. I mean, I love that about you guys. Like, you always make space for everybody. It's not like, oh, it's only Alex or it's only Nani. It's like it's everybody. And then I come back and you're like, oh, this is our other person. This is our other person. This person. They lead at this campus. Like, that is the model.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you should make
Yeah.
space for everybody. And living in Nashville, I just had really bad experiences with people, worship pastors being the only one. Like, it would be 5 songs and they lead all 5.
Yeah.
And I'm on the team.
Yeah.
And it's like, it makes it uncomfortable because you don't want to be the one saying, like, are you going to share it? Because then
Yeah.
everybody used to be like, it's not about you. Like,
Yeah,
it ain't
yeah.
about you either.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like, and it
Yeah.
just turned into, I remember my former worship pastor used to say things like, I just feel like Calvin wants my job. And I
Mhm.
never wanted his
Wow.
job.
Right.
Never wanted his job, not one day. I
Yeah.
love what I do.
Yeah.
And but a lot of times I wouldn't be asked to sing on the worship team unless the pastor would ask to hear me sing. And it's just because he was insecure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't be a worship pastor in Nashville insecure with all this talent
All
coming
this
into the
talent,
church.
Yeah.
And you gonna let, I mean, we
Yeah.
used to have at this church, we had like Francesca Battistelli, the Katinas, Jeremy Kent. We had all these people in the congregation, but ain't none of them singing at the church because I feel like the worship pastor was just insecure. You know what I mean? And so it just makes it like
it's such a different mentality you have to have, especially if you are like the gatekeeper of the ministry. If you are the worship pastor who's making those decisions, and your decisions are going to have consequences and effects and stuff like that. You having someone on your team like a Calvin or a Nani or Anthony, you're like, this is a win.
Right.
Like if you're a worship leader, you're like, this is a win.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh my gosh, we can share this together. What style do you like? Let's bring that genre. Or like, what do you bring to the table? And understanding that that person is going to reach people like them in the congregation.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're going to reach different people that connect with you.
Totally.
And, so much even in our church, like, oh my gosh, I love the way Addison leads. I love the way Eden leads. I love the way Nani leads. I love the way because it'd be like, we always call it Oprah worship, where you get a song, you get a song, you get a song.
That's it. Oprah worship. I love Oprah. So
that's Josh.
You get a song, you get a song.
You get a song, you get a song.
You come Sunday morning like, I didn't know you're getting a song, you're getting a song.
Yeah. And it's not like we're throwing you under the bus. No, it's a song that's like, you're going to kill it.
We know.
This is your thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know why people don't do that. Like, well, I feel like I do know why. I mean, people just sometimes don't do their own personal work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're spiritual. We know who God is, but we don't know who we are. Like, we don't know why we're wired the way that we are. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to realize, like, you know what? I just dealt with rejection and that way, if you at least know, if you're more self-aware of who you are, you'll know what's at work when it comes to scheduling other people. And it's like, you know what? This might be coming from my place of, being new here. And I don't know if I want them to be on the team. But you can ask yourself that question: is it God or is that you?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, because a lot of people rely on their gifting and calling to get them through, their skill of what they can do. I'm a good singer,
right?
But they don't know how to disciple. They don't know how to steward. They don't know, like you said, they don't have personal relationship. They haven't done personal work within themselves.
Right.
So that insecurity comes out. And so there's this battle of like, I'm fighting against you. Why?
Right.
I don't understand why.
Yeah.
And so there's this like, okay, I'm just trying to come alongside you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to complement what's here.
And even speaking of Oprah, she said something that I'll never forget at the end of her 25-year show. She said, one thing that I've learned over every show, every guest in 25 years, she said, from Barack Obama to Beyonce, they would ask this question at the end: did I do okay? And she was like, everybody, did I do okay? Was that good? And she said, I realized in that moment that everyone's looking for validation.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking to be seen, heard, and valued. So looking for validation is not a bad thing. It's just we are wired for that. Like, you just want to know, like, does what I did that matter? Did that interview, did I do good? Or, or if they created a movement, Black Lives Matter, or whoever movement, it's just, people just want to feel validated. Like, do you see me? Do you care? Do I matter?
Right.
And so I've started to realize that when you're building worship teams and communities, is that people are looking to use their gifts and how God used them. Yeah. I mean, how God gave it to them. And so it's very important that worship leaders know how to steward their team and help them feel seen, heard, and valued. So I love that. And I get really frustrated when people don't do that.
Yeah. I think as a worship leader, a lot of the times it's more about, like you said, the people than it is about, can you sing? If you're up there, you probably could sing really well.
Yeah.
Right.
But how are you fostering the people that God has given you that's under your covering?
Right.
There's a scripture in Proverbs 27:4 that says, anger is cruel and wrath is like a flood, but jealousy is even more dangerous.
Which one was that?
Proverbs 27:4.
Y'all hear that?
Toma.
Yeah.
Jealousy is even more dangerous.
Anger is cruel and wrath is like a flood, but jealousy is even more dangerous.
It makes me think about like the like in the Bible, God calls us the body of Christ, like the body.
Right.
every single thing has its function. Some things, some of your organs are unbelievably, you don't live without these, but they're not jealous of your face, which is seen. Like, and all of us have our function. All of us have the thing that we're supposed to do and do unbelievably well. But some of us are jealous of what other things are doing and the function that they may have. But God has called us to be a body that works together with our own individual parts. And
you don't see a heart, but you need.
Oh, if you don't have it,
yeah.
100%. Same thing.
Yeah. I just thinking on this, I remember there's so many different instances where I can remember on the team, certain people being like, you know who's really good, or you know who has a good whatever, this person. And I'm like, really? Okay. Because sometimes as a worship leader, you're like, schedule, and you're not even like, you're not. But when other people come to you, and I'm speaking to the worship leaders now, and they say, I think this person, like if you just groom them a little bit, or if you just whatever, they have. I remember you doing that and telling me about Amaryllis. I remember that distinctly at HP. Like, you know who's really good? I love her tone. Is Amaryllis. I'm like, really? And she had just started on the team. And I remember from that point on, I'm like, okay, let me give her a bridge. Let me give her a verse. Okay, can you lead this song? And I remember another time, I mean, we grew up singing together, but I remember the first album. Were you on the first album?
I wasn't on Christ Be Revealed. I was on For Your Glory.
After the first album, I remember we were in the studio with Aaron. And Aaron was like, you know whose tone is getting like really good? Nani. And I was like, it is, right? Yeah. And I remember in my head, because he said, I was like, she's going to be on the second, like, you know, just having that, because sometimes as a leader, you don't all the time know what you're doing.
You don't.
You do not know what you're doing. And so you want to make sure, like, is everyone good? Is everyone right? But like having people on your team that is like, hey, you should do this. Hey, and listening, being okay and secure enough to listen and be like, because at the end of the day, whatever is for you, God has for you, is for you, right? And sometimes you can be that person to like elevate, and you know what I mean? And that's so important. And you have to kind of fall in love with doing that. And then if you're not, then ask yourself why. Why does that bother me if I have her or him do this?
I don't know why people don't give people a chance. That really bothers me. Like, I mean, you know, I'm the guy that I would read scriptures. The man saw the treasure in the field. He went and sold everything he had to get that field. He's basically like, oh, there's so much potential here, you know? And I just feel like the Bible says the treasure is in earthen vessels. It's in people. Like, I may not be rich financially, but I am rich in human resource. Like, I have human resources. Like, I have people, I have connections, I have relations. And it's not about connections like business. I just mean to build relationships. You know, I think that makes you a great worship leader. And there's enough room for people listening. There's enough room for all of us. You don't have to be so territorial of someone showing you up or upstaging you. It's like, create something great. And if your season ends at this place, then there's other things that God has for you as well. So that don't get me started about that. I really despise when people overlook people. Like, because one of the things, like for me, I was always that kid that was growing up, would be on the playground. They'd be like, give me Anthony, give me Joseph, give me Josh, give me such and such, give me Donnie. And the other person
just like,
and then you just sitting there like, is anybody gonna pick me? And then lastly, they'd be like, I mean, I'll take Calvin, I guess. Like, oh, you guess, huh? Okay.
I'm about to show out.
So that would happen to me a lot.
Call my name.
Right.
But the enemy tried to use that at an early age, you know, just to try to make you insecure. And I'm so glad that I didn't take that bait and being territorial with other people. Because if you deal with rejection, the moment that you're celebrated, you want to hold on to that. And you want but I thank God, though, that's why he didn't give me the gift early. Because my identity just would have been in it. So it's so easy to get this gift at 18, 19 years old. And you'd be like, I mean, you really got to make me sing or ask me to sing. Like, I'm not, people hear me sing and they're like, oh, I bet you love it. Like, I love it, but that's not my Isaac to lay down. It's easy for me to lay down music. You know what I mean? So
something that I've seen too, and I've experienced as well, like there's also this, like there's worship leaders, right, who don't trust their own team, or they don't like let their team shine in that way, but then they have a friend who sings really good, and then that person comes, and then they're like, oh yeah, you could sing that, and then they're like, man, like I've been on the team, and I don't get that same type of like response. And I'm only saying that because like I've like recently moving to North Carolina, being a part of the church that we're a part of there, right? There was kind of something that happened in that manner where they have their team established, and then they're like, oh, well, she's really good because she's seasoned, she knows how to do it. And I ran through the protocol, but everybody else had the protocol. So now the people who are on the team are like, man, like I've done my work here, and now here comes this girl and she's leading, right? So for me, I felt like, dang, I feel out of place here because I feel for that person. Because I'm the same way. I'm like, I want everyone to feel included, right? So then it's almost like we're blocking, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like we're holding back what they could really offer because we're just like comfortable with like, well, we know you can definitely do it. So we'll just give it to you. And then like, but when you hear these people sing, you're like, yo, they're fire. Like, I remember leading one time and I had a girl sing with me, and I'm like, afterwards I spoke to the worship pastor. I'm like, have you heard her? Like, she's really good. And he's like, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, like really good. She has it,
That's
you know?
What I'm saying. Sometimes it takes like, that person. Like,
hey, you know? And
every team needs a bridge. A bridge builder.
And he was just kind of like, oh, okay, you know? And I'm like, yeah, because I can feel there's like now there's that shift of like, well, then maybe I don't want to be a part of the team because I don't have what she has. I'm like, no, you have it. And you have it better, probably. You know, like so there's also that. It's like you said, there's the definitely. I know you can do this, even on the musician side, right? I know that piano player could do it, so I'll just do it with him, and I won't encourage and challenge you to be a better.
Well, I was gonna say, you know, sometimes like when you come to a place, like if you're at a new church, I always say you don't know how a person was processed in their season prior to meeting you. Like they may not have to go through all the classes because it's like going to a job. Like they just went to get their doctorate degree. What do you mean they got to go through? They're coming in as a doctor, so you're gonna get okay. You're gonna be okay because they went to school for. What do you mean? Like, well, I had to. You can't. Your journey's different. You know what I mean? You might not have had a doctor, but we giving you, you know, doctor privileges. But then when there comes a doctor, we like, well, they didn't go through steps class like me, and so it's just like
what?
Yeah, and it's just not the right posture. Sometimes that could be true. But I think if you're not in that position as a leader, you just celebrate people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like you never know where people are. Like she might be passing through for 6 months, going on to something. You know, I mean, you got people that might be on your worship team that like, for me, it's like he could have the next Maverick City that he's working on. He just needs opportunity to just do diversity at your church. And he's not looking to be your worship pastor.
At all.
It's just I'm just trying to honor God with the gifts that he gave me.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry. I'm just I get a
good.
little
I think
call nobody out. Go ahead.
I
I ain't calling nobody out.
I think collaboration, more than we would have thought about it before, is necessary. It's not like, oh, they're really good at collaborating. Or they're really good at doing things together. If you feel like you're not, then you need to work on it. It feels now more than ever that it's a necessity.
Yeah, we won't even try like different, like let somebody do the second verse. It really is okay to have a couple leaders on a song. So if you want to give everybody a chance, you know,
it really
we were in Louisiana a few weeks ago leading worship, and it was a song that Nia Allen was leading, but at the end it was just so good, and I was just like, y'all, everybody. I said, guys just made a buffet, and we're at his table. And I was just like, Mark, get you a plate. Go fix you a plate. That's your ad-lib. That was my cue for ad-lib. You want to fix you a plate? And then I was like, Tanika, go fix you a plate. And then I asked Alex, I was like, you want a plate?
I said, I'm not hungry.
She's like, I'm not hungry.
I said, I'm vegan.
She's like, I'm vegan. You know, but this is during worship. And so but at the same time, I'm like, y'all want to eat? You know, I know you got something to say on the song. I know you like to ad-lib. I know you like to sing. Why don't you go get you a plate? It's like, you know what? I think I will. That's what I did on Fall. On Fall, y'all saw on Fall. I knew when y'all recording, I said, I'm going to need a plate on this. That's exactly what it was. That's why I'm at the reprise on Fall. Because I had to come up and get a plate. Yeah. When y'all were rehearsing, I was like, oh, I like this song.
Yes.
Can I get a plate at the end? True story.
Even for Forever You Are Good as well. When you
I was like, I need a plate.
Yeah,
and that's why I be on all y'all songs. I be on coming in at 5-minute mark. Like, I get to the party a little late and be like, y'all still got food? Y'all still got food here? I'm like, there's still food here, so
I'm going to eat.
I'm going to go ahead and eat.
And then I'm going to leave.
And watch tomorrow. I'm going to be eating, too.
Yes.
I'm going to pass the plate, though, too.
That's
so get
it.
ready.
That's
Not
it.
eat.
Oh, my God.
Unless the sound person is not on it. I remember in the early days, boy, it would be like one person leads one song because if you switch midway through,
it's a wrap.
you don't hear that second person.
You
They're muted. Oh, I remember that. I'd be like, please, this person is doing this song.
Well, you might want to tell them Calvin's here, so we.
Oh no!
We get the okay.
No,
we get the dishing it out.
No. Now we know more. But I remember before I'd be like, man, I really would love this person to start the bridge, but no one's gonna hear it. Yeah, we weren't there yet.
And it just feels more like a team. Like it just feels like I don't know. It's just I love that about people don't know this. Like I am really excited to be here because one of the things that I love that you guys have done is like you just create community. And it just feels like family, whether you're a guest or the people that go here. I'm telling Alex all year, I see Jumpstart. I'm like, I need to be there. And it wasn't about being seen. It was just like, I love this community. Yeah. I love the way that you guys hang. It's like a family. And I just love that. And I need that. And I don't have that a lot in Nashville. So when I found out that I was in Chicago this week, I said, text. Are y'all free? Can I come get a plate?
Yeah.
They was like, come get your plate. Here I am. Here I am.
Have you seen that Instagram reel where you just hear the click sounds of the person text messaging? That's
me. I said, let me just see. Y'all got an extra plate? She's like, we got an extra plate for Sunday.
Okay, then we coming.
There you go.
Oh my
Eating
God.
good.
And when you include people too on your team, it allows everybody on your team to believe that they're also a worship leader.
Yeah.
Right? Because people think, well, she's the worship leader and I'm the background singer.
Yeah.
No, you're a worship leader as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You carry that weight as well. You have to understand that the gifting and the calling that God has given you can also break chains and bring healing and do all of those things. Because sometimes people are just like, well, that was an Alex thing and I'm good.
And how it relieves the worship leader as well.
It does. But I think too, it allows people to truly understand and give them the accountability of what they are doing and what they are committing themselves to, right?
See, let me tell you something. I've always said this. You can lead worship in the back of the room, in the front of the stage, on the side, in the audience. And that's one thing that I really feel like I know how to do. I know how to lead worship whether I'm on the front row or in the back. And this happened this week. I won't say much, but let's just say there's known artists that are performing, and let's just say the crowd's a little reserved. I know that if I go out there and I just be like, come on, yes, hey, everybody else is.
It
just kind of wakes everybody else up, and I'm not even trying to manipulate, but I'm just. Sometimes people just need permission to be able to lift their hands, and so you being in the third row, you just lifting your hands like, man, thank you for doing that, brother, because no men really lift their hands. So I'm gonna just go ahead and lift mine too. Next thing you know, there's 20 people, 30 people, 50, 100 people lifting their hands, and so you can really lead worship from wherever you are. It doesn't have to be that you have a microphone.
Absolutely.
I've just seen that sometimes there's people that I really admire and look up to. And when they're in that zone, I'd be like, oh, okay, God might be here because I was thinking about my text. But Alex, she seemed like this is a tender moment, huh? Okay. Yeah. Okay, yes, God, yes. You know what I'm saying? But we're very observant people. And so you can really lead worship by just sitting in the audience or sitting in the back of the team. It's like, and sometimes when you're leading, when you even feel like you have the support of people on the stage with you, you're just like a couple. Come on, Calvin. Yes. Like, oh, okay. Y'all want me to clap? Y'all want me to go off? Okay. All right, here I go. Because you put a demand. And it happens with every artist.
Yeah.
If the audience is going in, the artist or the worship leader, they go for broke.
And I think we were just talking about that too. Like, we love the chemistry that we have as a team. We were talking about Josh and how on this latest album or recording, there's like 15 that's right. And
we had to take out some. Because it'll be first verse. That's right.
Yeah, Josh.
It's not a that's right moment yet.
Wait till we say something.
But we're so like, and Alex knows this too, because I can only speak in the experience between me and Alex, but Alex knows, like, when she's going, right, like, you could pan the camera to me and I'm locked in with Alex. Yeah. I'm here and I'm like, okay, I'm downloading, boom, and we're going. And there's just this like chemistry of like, there's that security, there's that maturity of, I'm not trying to outdo Alex, I'm trying to come alongside her. Right. So I'm here with you and we're gonna ride this thing together.
Right.
And so
this is my mission for right now.
You know, and so just hearing that, when we were talking about that, we were laughing, like, yo, because we're all like that. Like, we're just like, Yup. Like, go,
and that's why I really feel like we really genuinely respect each other. And knowing like everyone has a calling and and it took a while to get there. We were young when we started, but just being like, honestly, I really feel like God has called you for this and also me, and I would love to do it with you.
Yeah. There's a lot of times that I forget that I have to sing, like, because I'm so excited, like, and I want to celebrate that person. Like, I think it was the song with Coco and Nicole Binion.
Oh my gosh, was it All Things?
Yeah. And if you pan there's a clip where they pan the camera to me, and I'm just not even singing. I'm like,
this is good. This is good.
I was so like, and then I was like, oh, I have to sing.
My turn.
But like, it just felt so good to just be like, I'm celebrating this. Like,
God is
there's no like, all right, I got to come into my part. It was just like, yes, this is.
When we were talking to Tanika the other week, she made a comment, and I was like, that's so good. Someone had asked her, like, hey, are you singing this Sunday? And she was like, yeah, I am. But she wasn't on team. She was like, I sing from where I am. I sing every week, whether I'm on team or not. But she was like, yeah, I am. On the front row, I'll be singing. So, and I was like, yes.
I love that.
Yes, because no matter if I'm on team or I have that week off or I'm in the back or James is driving me crazy. I'm a worship leader wherever I am and wherever I go. And I loved when she said that, because I was like, that's such
I sing all the time.
I worship all the time.
Totally.
Yes, totally. I love that. I really hope that this podcast and this conversation has inspired and just encouraged teams or people. And if you feel like, man, I need to send this to someone, or I need to like
make room
for
the Lord. That's why when I started this thing called Aware Worship, it's a collective of diverse worship leaders, but it's all of us.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I use in the tagline is recognizing his presence and recognizing his people. Like, we do a great job of recognizing his presence. We do a horrible job at being aware of each other.
Yeah.
And I just, I always use the hashtag we see you. It's nothing better to be seen, heard, and valued, or to feel celebrated versus tolerated. Don't nobody want to be tolerated on your worship team.
Right.
Yeah.
We want to be celebrated. And that don't mean that you have to give us an album for our gifting. It just means that, hey, I'm trying to honor God with the best that I have. And it's just, there's nothing better to say, I see that in you, Alex. And I want to celebrate that, and I want to push you forward. I mean, I seen y'all do that with Josh.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I remember when he was started, it was very timid and fearful.
Mm-hmm.
And some people would let them stay fearful and not let Josh develop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so not God to me.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and
People be
push
like, oh, that's
them.
how he is. You know him. You know. Well, we'd be
You
like,
can't say
no,
that.
Josh, stop.
I remember,
Yeah.
and Josh, you're gonna probably watch this, so you know I'm saying this because I love you. But I remember two things happened. We went to Florida. We were sitting in a house, and people were asking us like, "How do you guys do what you do?" And the
Oh my
first thing Josh said
gosh.
was, "I'm a trash bag.
I'm Josh. And
I'm
a
Josh,
trash
and I'm a trash bag." And we were like, "Josh," and then so that was kind of like we're like, "You're too much," and so that kind of led to like I think a few weeks later, we do this thing at within our team where we do pick me ups and we go around and we're picking each other up. And this particular Sunday, Josh was just like he just wasn't like happy with himself. And Andrews walks in the room. Andrews says, "We're not gonna do pick me ups, Josh. I want you to pick yourself up right now."
Ooh.
And he pointed him out. He said, "I want you to say 3 things about yourself and pick yourself up."
Come on.
And he was like, "Oh," like, and so just being able to be like, no, like we want to speak life into you. Like it's okay. Like there's
Yeah,
many
that's
people
awesome.
who feel that, because there are people who also come on the team that have stories that we just may not know. And, they probably feel like, oh, I'm just not worthy. Like I just do this to do this. But
Yeah.
it's like when you can really steward people and really get to know people and include people, you'll understand the testimony from someone that it could speak to somebody.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, like all this time, like what you were saying, like a certain genre, a certain style of music or voice can speak to a different part of the crowd
Yeah.
or a different person. So when you're including people and those people can, the congregation is looking at that person and may know the testimony of them and say, man, they can worship through that.
I mean,
I know that I can do
Think
this.
about like your kids. When your kids come home, when they feel seen, heard, and valued by other kids, the whole school experience is great.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't great, they're gonna come home and cry. Nobody played with
Don't
me.
play with me.
Nobody played with me. And so imagine being on your worship team, you're new or something, and nobody will play with you, or nobody will see you, and you feel it feels horrible. It's like, man, I mean, I went to practice or I went, but like nobody talked to me.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about anything about me. But when you do feel that, it's all the time. When kids feel seen, heard, and valued by each other, that makes their experience of their learning environment even better, because it's like, man, I went to lunch and Johnny asked me to sit at his table, and then they shared their sandwich with me. I mean, that's just we're still kids at heart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even as we as we become adults, we're just wanting somebody to be like, hey, I see what's going on with you, Calvin. Why don't you come have a seat at the table? And that's like really been my testimony. And I always want people to, if I've ever been known for anything, I want to be known for helping people to release their potential. Because I think there's just so much. Potential means being capable of, but not yet in existence. And so I just encourage everybody, if you feel unheard, unseen, unvalued, first of all, know that God sees you.
Yeah.
And God will work it out and put you in the right environments so that you can be able to see what's in yourself, or other people can help draw it out of you. And if you're at a place, then you just need to also pray and maybe ask God, is there another place that I need to be so that I can continue to cultivate what God has put in me? Because there are some people that are ready to welcome you with open arms, and that's hard sometimes because the tribe you may be with may not be the tribe for you. And that's okay. You don't have to leave bitter. You don't have to cause no drama. Please don't cause no drama.
Right.
But it just may be that your season may be for somewhere else, So be encouraged for sure.
Can you end in prayer? Just praying for the people that this has really ministered to in this conversation. Maybe they've never heard it in this light or in this way, and maybe feel convicted right now that they've been withholding things or neglecting certain things.
Father, we just thank you for your presence here today, God. And first of all, God, we just want to say thank you for the privilege and the honor to worship you with the talents that you've given us. We don't take that for granted. And God, we also ask for forgiveness, Lord, for anybody that we've overlooked. Anybody that we've overlooked on our worship team, God, I really do say, Lord, please forgive me for that. And God, can you also minister to the heart of the person that I rejected.
Mhm.
Please let them know that in that season, I didn't mean to do it. And if you bring it to my attention, God, help me to be humble and to just say, I am so sorry. And God, and moving forward, let us begin to become more aware of your presence and each other, God. Let us be able to be like Solomon. Give us wisdom to govern your people. Help us to lead people into your presence, God. And so I pray for that. And then I also pray for the person that's just devastated by the rejection and the pain and the how can you use me, God? I just pray, God, that you would heal them. I pray, God, that you would heal to their mind, soul, and body. And God, help them to get to the root of what's going on, God. And I always say this, Lord, but you can't connect the dots until you collect the dots. And sometimes, God, we're trying to connect the dots, but we don't have all the dots. So I encourage them, Lord, and with your help, show them the dots that they need to collect in this season so that the journey will make more sense. So they don't have to look at it through the eyes of rejection. They could just look at it as, God, you're preparing them for something greater. And they don't have to be bitter. They can be more whole. So, Father, thank you for this time. Thank you for free worship. Thank you for this podcast. Thank you for this church. Thank you for this leadership. God, I pray that you use it mightily, mightily, as you already are, but continue to use it around the world.
Thank you.
And we thank you and we give you praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen.